Hi, this is Hanu the Hunter Makinen, and these are my bottom 10 He-Man villains. You might remember that very long time ago. Okay, so most of you will not remember, but I have done a top 10 standalone villains list from He-Man, but this is not exactly the same thing. On that list, I was very precise about excluding bad guys who had appeared in more than one episode, and villains who were really just working for Skeletor. But for this list, I decided not to limit myself that much. So this list video is going to be a mix of both standalone villains and villains who worked with Skeletor. Now, there is a long list of characters that I was considering but then rejected for the simple reasons that the standalone villains were just too similar. There are so many random wizards in the show that only show up for a single episode who have nothing notable about them, and that's the reason usually why their episodes aren't very good either. So yeah, I tried to find characters who had at least something notable about them, whether it's good or bad, so that this list wouldn't get like overbloated. But I did lay off the Skeletor henchman like web store. Even though I really dislike that character, I wouldn't say that he completely ruins any episode for me. And that's enough of an introduction. Let's now get on with the list. At number 10, General Tartaran. Okay, I've recently given General Tartaran's episode appearances the once-over, and now I can say pretty definitively, I don't like this character. He adds nothing of substance to the show. The fact that he got to appear in two, some would consider, iconic episodes was just a complete luck of the draw, because the screenwriters couldn't have someone more interesting in the mix. I mean, Tartaran has no special powers and no personality other than being evil. That's also the reason he's this low, because Tartaran doesn't ruin either of the episodes he's in. He's just utterly non-noteworthy, and that's why I really dislike him. At number 9, it's Monteeg and the Game Master. Okay, I'm making this a double entry because these villains' plots were literally the exact same, and both are equally lame characters. Both Monteeg and the Game Master plotted to enslave He-Man to be in their entourage, the Game Master in his gladiator ring, while Monteeg, I don't know, just for personal bragging rights, I guess. Now, the Game Master being an utter dunce who somehow thinks He-Man will offer himself in exchange for Teela is bad enough, and he's just super generic and uninteresting on top of that. But Monteeg is debatably even worse, because even Skeletor knew that this plan of his was cursed to fail. But at the end of the day, there isn't that big of a difference between the two. One is just a stupid wizard, the other is a space gladiator ringleader. At number 8, Gorgon. Gorgon is the one-up villain of The Defection, which is one of the most upsettingly bad episodes of Season 1. I hate the story and the production quality, and especially that they made Orko into a bag of dicks for no reason. And then of course, there's Gorgon, who sounds like this.
Great! I love flying dragons!
Now luckily, Gorgon is not in his own episode a lot, and is thus a bit irrelevant, which is why I'm willing to let him off easy. Plus, at the very least, he's very based, considering he hired Sibylline, and then has Evelyn sup for her when she decides to become a goody two-shoes. It's not a lot, but number 8 is good enough. At number 7, Mel Brag. It should probably not surprise anyone that the villain of the second worst Widgets episode is up here, but I gotta be real. What is the deal with Mel Brag? He's clearly out to just get himself some cordite, but we never find out for what purpose. He doesn't try to sell it or anything. Hey, Hunter from the future here, small correction. Actually, later in the episode, Mel Brag does say that he plans to sell the cordite to Skeletor. Also, he just rather abruptly manages to incapacitate He-Man, and then decides to sell him off to Skeletor. I mean, when it rains it pours, but come on. Again, I don't really know what Mel Brag's deal is. He just seems like a random swindler and doesn't really come off as a fully fleshed out character. But at the same time, he's not really super memorable either. I think because of that he deserves to go down here, but not anywhere closer to the bottom 5. Again, he's a little too unnoteworthy and a little too one-note, but he doesn't help at all with the episode that he's in. At number 6, Raygo. Here's another bad guy from a lukewarm bad He-Man episode, It's Not My Fault. Raygo is some weirdo out to steal some golden balls of power and uses a little kid to further his goals. Raygo isn't just a lame villain, since he's pretty generic, but the voice performance by John Irwin makes him sound needlessly Poindextery.
You'll never catch me!
This is not a worthy adversary. This guy had no business being the main villain. He oozes so much henchman energy instead. And that's the reason why he just barely misses out on the bottom 5. Raygo's not just lame, he's also ultimately quite inconsequential. As bad as all the other villains up to this point have been, they all at least had a notable impact on the story. But you'll remember that Raygo is the villain of the most anemic He-Man script ever, who does absolutely nothing, just runs off and then gets tangled in some vines. At number 5, Lord Todd. Here we have the one-off villain of the Gamesman, an interdimensional demon who turns people into chess pieces. Now, to me, it's already pretty bad that this guy is literally a character recycled from an earlier episode, and by recycled, I don't mean he's a palette swap. He's literally the exact same character as the carnival owner from The Heart of a Giant. Lord Todd's evil scheme is a classic case of stupidly vague and vaguely stupid. He's obsessed with Teela and wants to turn her into a chess piece. Why? This motivation alone would throw Todd down pretty hard in the order. But then he also, just look at his head. Honestly, what the hell is this? And lastly, yes, his name is Todd. Interdimensional demon, Todd. Somebody should have attended some writing classes, I think. Number 4, Iser. So here we have a Skeletor henchman who only appeared in one episode. Aside the fact that he had no interesting powers and his costume is, what is this even? He has a furry hood but clearly doesn't need it because he's topless. This is just an overall pathetic character and he sounds like it to top it all off.
Stop, He-Man.
There's no two ways about it. The Ice Age Cometh is an episode I'm not super wild about anyway, and Iser is at least 50% of the reason why. At number 3, Aramesh. Oh boy. Aramesh is what happens when a screenwriter wants to create a terrifying adversary for the heroes, and the episode director thinks, we don't need him good, we need him by Friday. Aramesh is an interdimensional robot man out to steal Orko's secret in the episode The Return of Evil. The problem here is that we have no context for him and his powers, because he didn't appear in any other episodes. And his appearance and voice are so utterly bad that you can't even take him seriously.
I am Aramesh. I have come for the secret thing. And Orko, the icon, has it.
Now, of course, Aramesh is the creation of Richard Parday, the worst scriptwriter on He-Man, and even without this character design, the entire episode wouldn't actually make any sense. Aramesh really is the cherry on the shit cake. But this is really the director's fault. A super dangerous evil protagonist on page, golden lispy robot on screen. Ooh boy, we have only 2 more to go. It's time for the all-time top 2 stinkers. So, who winds up second? It's Modulok. Yes, Modulok just barely scrapes away from being number 1. While I have previously referred to Modulok as He-Man's shittiest adversary, I'll at least concede that he has some hidden depths that just barely stopped me from making him number 1. You all remember the mistaken identity rant, either from the review or the bottom 10, so I won't make you sit through it. Modulok is the world's dumbest mad genius, who apparently has no qualms about thinking some random guy is He-Man. This obstinate stupidity is what makes mistaken identity so difficult to watch. My only solace for this character is that Modulok at least has a handful of really good appearances. He's the villain of Happy Birthday Roboto, which is one of my favorite Season 2 episodes. And he also appears in a handful of She-Ra episodes, most notably in Black Snow, which is an excellent episode. But on He-Man, his appearances are split pretty evenly. One good and one awful. But because he has at least that one good episode appearance, I'll spare him from the very top. But he really is a bafflingly stupid villain. And number 1, Count Marzo. Yeah, this was close, but I do have to give Marzo the prize here for one simple reason. He has by far the most bad episode appearances, a whopping 3. In other words, all of them. The Once and Future Duke, the Eternia Flower, and Search for a Son. Also, Marzo is a freaking creepshow, whose evil plots always involve children. The irony is that his first appearance really only involved them as he turned Prince David into a child, but then somehow this turned into a regular thing for him. With him getting kids addicted to the Black Nightmare, and in the Search for a Son, he was forcing Mechanex's son to work for him. And also, have you looked at this man? I'm not sure if the costume was intended to make him look cartoonishly foppish, but it doesn't do the guy any favors. Marzo sucks, that's the long and short of it. And that was the list. Now tell me, who do you think are the worst villains on He-Man? Leave them in the comments down below. Until next time, I have the power, so can you.